miraculously found this stream, or you're watching later on, I think this will be a fun watch. I'm going to keep things dynamic, I'm going to train throughout, and I'm going to share something about the vision for this channel going forward. It's been a decade of weekly martial arts content, but I plan on doing this thing for a decade more. But the new vision is to not only do martial arts, but to also combine it with different stuff like parkour, and all kinds of ways of moving to inspire all of you to keep moving regardless of where you are in life. If you come along. Now, we already attempted this live stream 3 or 4 times and we had some technical difficulties. First time around I had a sword laying here, which I was supposed to pick up and do some stuff with. Right now there's only this kind of thing, but I'm going to improvise and share some ways to use this as a ninja or martial artist. So if you want to choke someone out,
Not me.
And if there's anyone surprisingly catching this live, now it's the 3rd attempt, then you'll just read the comments and I'll respond. But if you want to choke out this cup of coffee, in all seriousness, you could do something like this, and then you can choke. You can also use your nunchaku techniques and stuff like that, this kind of thing. You could even like throw it to the ground, hook the leg of the opponent, sweep them down. So I'm gonna continue to share all kinds of martial arts content, but also I'm going to share other things, like for instance the parkour, but all kinds of ways of moving. And I'm certainly not perfect, but I'll try and do it as ninja-like as possible. Like, for instance, you could use this kind of ball in all kinds of ways to try and balance. And that's the sword I just mentioned earlier. Let's see. So come along with me in my garden, and for the next 10 years I'll keep sharing content. At that point I'll be 50 years old and I'll be able to inspire people in new ways, because I want to talk about longevity and all kinds of ways of moving. And I feel so fortunate. My friend Damien Chan, a martial arts YouTuber, I have like a parkour park here in my garden. There's also a lot of stuff to play with for my son, and a trampoline and all kinds of stuff. And there's also the ring that I used to fight. Come along. And I had my final retirement fight earlier, and you can find all of my fights on the playlist called Competitive Fighting. But I'll probably at some point, use this ring for some sparring, or perhaps, who knows, perhaps at some point in the future I'll do a final return and a final exhibition fight. So I'm going to do some shadow boxing here inside this ring. Now, if you've been along the ride for a long time here on this channel, you've been all aspects of martial arts, from fancy kicks and competitive fighting to self-defense and traditional martial arts, and also doing a lot of damage to this guy Bob. There's a hammer laying around, which I can use to share a point. Anything can be used as an improvised weapon. Something like this, extremely dangerous. But just be mindful for self-defense that unless the person is armed and trying to take your life, then something like this is something you might want to avoid, because it's going to likely have lethal consequences. You can hook with this part, the leg, and it's also going to have legal consequences most likely, so make sure to be mindful of stuff like that. If you're laying on the ground and there's some sand or some dirt, you can use that and throw it in the opponent's eyes, and you will only be temporarily blinded and you won't do as much damage as with this one. But any object can be used as an improvised weapon. You can use your empty-handed skills and transfer them to a weapon. So just like you would hook here with the tie clinch, you could do something like this. But let's talk a bit about the mission for this channel. So I've been doing a lot to showcase Kung Fu and its powers, and that it can be used under pressure. And years back I did the viral video Kung Fu and UFC, and I think I've done a lot of content to share and showcase that stuff like, for instance, these Kung Fu kicks, they can be applied in actual combat. But I also want to share that you're able to move throughout life just as life moves, so should you. And that regardless of your age or your situation in life, you can keep things moving. So for instance, myself, I'm 40 at this point. And I'm still moving in more and more ways. And like I said, 10 years from now, I'll still be sharing this kind of content, but not just martial arts, all kinds of ways of moving. Like a staff, for instance. You can use this one for stretching. Depending on your mobility level, you could keep a more narrow grip or a wider grip as you do this kind of thing, which is great for the shoulders. You could also practice your spins, the strikes, all kinds of stuff. But there's just so many ways of using everything, and these things, which are mostly for my son, but I play with them as well. Oops. So, yeah. I've been doing this video now for the 4th time, I think it is now. So perhaps there's something I wanted to say that I forgot to say this time around. That's just how life goes. But the important thing is to not get discouraged and keep it moving. So I think I'm going to finish this one soon. If my son feels like it, he's gonna come on camera. But he's already been showing some ninja stuff, which unfortunately didn't make it live in the previous live stream attempt. So we'll see if he feels like it.
Felix, vil du med ud og filmes?
Okay, so you can also experiment with all kinds of shapes, like this, and doing this stuff like that.
Vil du ikke herud og hænge lidt i det der område
Har du
der?
lyst til at klatre lidt og lave lidt parkour?
Nå,
Fair nok. Du lavede også en masse før.
ja.
Så slutter jeg. I'm just gonna finish with a bit of the Grandau.
Nå.
I wanted to throw this one into the air, but this tree came in the way. Let's move a bit. Maybe over here. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with this. And that's my son. And I think we're going to finish this live stream. But I just want to say, I'm going to keep sharing content for the next 10 years. If you've been following for the martial arts, I hope you'll keep watching. I'll still be sharing some of that, as well as other ways of moving, which can elevate you as a martial artist. And if you're here from parkour or any other interest, any kind of ninja way of moving, I hope you'll keep watching. Who knows, perhaps for the next 10 years when I'm 50 years old, or 20 years when I'm 60 years old, still going some full splits and doing all kinds of stuff to inspire you. Thank you so much. Hej.
Hvor er det nu henne, tror jeg?
Hej.
Se, det lykkedes for den her gang, det tror jeg.
Det tror jeg også. So I'm just going to finish it.